Ruslan.
Glendale parents protested a recent school board meeting and clashed with anti-protester over LGTV month. We're going to be looking at this entire story, some facts that were slightly omitted by the media, and an interesting tie-in to yours truly. Now, if you guys don't know, I am ethnically Armenian, and Glendale is like the hub of the Armenian culture community within Southern California. I have friends that live in this area. A few facts before we get into the story. Armenians came over to the United States after the Armenian genocide, for the most part, of 1915, and Armenians view themselves, and history would testify to this, as we are the first Christian nation. We didn't have a written language until we decided to translate the Bible, and that is how we developed the written language. And so Armenians are culturally Christian. They tend to be more culturally conservative. And that is who's engaging in this entire debacle, which was kind of left out. I posted on Twitter, you should be following me on there, that probably should have learned by now not to fool with Armenians. We're extremely resilient, and this is not a good look. So that was kind of left out. But let's get into the nuts and bolts of what led up to this protest and how this is all kind of being portrayed on the media's part. This is KTLA covering it, and then we're going to look at the statement from the actual school board and some stuff that's being left out. So let's jump into this.
Reporters say the event at Satakoy Elementary promoted inclusion and diversity. Critics claim it was inappropriate for kids. Chris Wolf reports from North Hollywood with what's at the center of the controversy.
Inclusion and diversity is what is being claimed that they are promoting, but once we peel away at the layers, you'll discover that, well, it's quite different. It's not the diversity of we're going to teach history, we're going to teach other nations' histories. That's not what's being talked about in terms of diversity and inclusion.
Demonstrators on opposing sides of a social and educational issue clashed outside a North.
Now, all those guys, if you pay close attention to these guys' face, they all look like cousins of mine. Okay?
Hollywood Elementary School Friday.
All the guys with the white shirts. You see, that looks like cousin Arthur right there.
The Los Angeles Unified School District had announced that an
There's Arno.
assembly was planned for all students K through 12 involving the recognition of gay and lesbian families in a book called The Big Book of Families. That sparked outrage among dozens.
Now, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I think some of the grooming language is unhelpful only for the sake of good faith debate in terms of what we're actually talking about can be unhelpful. So I think signs like this can actually do more harm to the dialogue instead of looking into the details, as we're going to in this video, of what is actually going to be discussed. Again, there's another one of my cousins right there. These guys all look the same. I'm allowed to say that, though, because I'm Armenian, all right?
Dozens of parents connected to Satakoy Elementary who held a demonstration. Pride advocates launched a counter demonstration, and confrontations became violent at times.
From everything that I've measured on this specific case, it appears, as always, that there's some folks that are aligned with Antifa who are usually the ones to spark the physical altercation. Now, let me be clear that turning these situations into physical is wrong, apparent, and shouldn't happen, especially as a parent. You like what I did there? Don't turn these things into unnecessary physical conflicts. They're not helpful, okay? So, but it does seem like the parents are not the ones that are escalating these things based on the surface degree of research that I had a chance to do.
There is one sentence in the book. It is many pages, but the one sentence says some families have two moms and some have two dads. It also talks about some families are raised by their grandparents. Some are raised with just one parent. So
is that all it says? Is that all it says? That some parents are raised by their grandparents, some parents have two dads, some parents got three moms. Is that all it says? Oh, we're going to get there because I got the official statement from the school board about this.
Oh, it's one reference.
One reference. It's one reference.
Protesting parents we spoke with say they are not against the gay community, with many adding that they have family and friends in the LGBTQ community.
We as parents have the right to be able to determine when and where the appropriate setting is for our children to learn about that. What are you going to tell my child when he comes to you and says, you know, I have a mommy and a daddy. What does it mean to have two daddies? My mommy was pregnant with me. Which daddy was pregnant? How did the daddy have a baby?
Which daddy was pregnant?
Darkness. Just giving a message of family acceptance, of diversity.
My message is that our kids are too young to talk about sex-related issues in an elementary school.
Okay. What is the crux of the issue here? Now, let me break this down very simply. This is an elementary school, okay? Elementary school is usually 1st through 5th grade. 1st through 5th grade. 5th grade goes up to age 10, 11. Okay, so we're talking about 6 to age 10. That is who we're discussing. Here's the statement from the school district. Notice the way it's being framed. This is Glendale Unified School District. Again, you should know that Glendale is where a lot of my Armenian cousins and extended family are at. Correcting disinformation. Recently, intentional and harmful disinformation has been circulating about what is being taught in our district and the ways we serve our students. This includes disinformation about LGTB curriculum, SEGS, education, and supporting transformers and, other folks. Okay, so here's the statement. Get the facts. What Glendale School District is talking about. So let's zoom in here and go down to the second paragraph. Okay, and so here it says, in GSU, health instruction related to teen development and SEGS, health education is taught in regards to 5 developmental maturation, 7 and 9 about SEGS education and HIV prevention. Why are we talking about HIV prevention with kids 6 to 10 years old? Okay. Parents may review the materials for development, maturation, and SEGS education curriculum in advance and opt their child out of these lessons if they choose. That's a W, right? I remember that. I remember the kids that were Christian when I was younger, and my parents just sent me along to this stuff. They can check it. They can check out. That's a W, right? That's a W. Well, if you look at the next paragraph, the very next thing, the option to opt out pertains only to certain curriculum, including developmental maturation and SEGS education. Parents and guardians may not opt their children out of any lesson referencing LGTB individuals and history as dictated by the FAIR Act. Okay? And then it goes into what is being discussed in terms of grade 5 for sex education, which you can opt out of. So here's what this issue is going to come down to. Here's what this issue is going to come down. Why can I not opt my child who is, my son is 8, he would be up for this. Why can I not get an advance of the curriculum and opt him out of this? Why does the state think that they're more equipped to talk to my child about LGTB history? Why? And this is the same thing that's happening in Temecula, that there is a school board out here that decided to remove certain things, and the governor here dunked on them and said they were being closed-minded and whatever. In Escondido, which is literally 25 minutes from here where Zach lives, the school district there's teachers on the school district that are suing the school district because they are being told that they need to keep children's orientation and identity private from their parents, even though their own code of conduct says that they are to have integrity and not lie to the parents. The crux of this issue, have no confusion, is not diversity and inclusion. The crux of this issue is the school boards and the people who are in charge of the FAIR Act and the state wants to dictate what your kids will learn about this and how it's going to be framed. And if you come from a different paradigm, which Armenians who are ethnically Armenian and culturally Christian and view themselves as the first Christian nation and take the Bible seriously and take these values seriously, don't rock with this stuff. And they're saying, listen, I don't want that to be taught to my kids. Why should we not be allowed to opt out of this? And so in their attempt to put out this, here's the points about the disinformation stuff, they ended up playing themselves. They ended up playing themselves by actually telling us what time it is, that you cannot opt out of this, and your kids have to go through this, and they have to experience this the way that the school and the state intends you to engage with these topics. And if you don't, well, then you are some sort of bigot. And this to me is the crux of the issue. Listen, LGTV people, and I say that in code, I have to on YouTube, or my videos will get completely ethered in the algorithm. I'm not trying to be condescending, but if you come from this community, the area where you should be able to find common ground at is that acceptance of you and loving you right where you're at and honoring you and extending dignity to you and not believing anything violent should happen to you. Acceptance where you're at and affirming you, your history, and your privacy and what you do in your bedroom are not the same. I should not have to affirm everything about you. I should not have to affirm everything about your lifestyle. I should not have to affirm about what happens in your bedroom. I should not have to affirm about how there might be 2 mommies and 2 daddies. I should not have to affirm all of that in order for me to say I accept you and I extend dignity and respect to you. The moment we conflate acceptance with affirmation is the moment where the argument completely falls apart. Because in the same way you don't have to affirm everything I believe about with what my scriptures teach me and what my God teaches me, in the same way you shouldn't have to, I shouldn't have to affirm and accept everything about you. I think if we can have just the bare basics of this conversation outline in that, then we should be allowed to say, you know what, my kids are going to opt out of these sort of conversations. And if you're wondering why a lot of families like mine, like a lot of my friends, are choosing to homeschool their kids or go to charter schools, it's because of nonsense like this. We should not have to allow the state to dictate what is and isn't taught to our kids with regards to this stuff. Teach them science, teach them English, teach them math, teach them history. We don't need all this other stuff backdoored. I think that's actually very reasonable. And I just simplified this entire thing for you guys. So if we can get there, if we can get to a place of, hey, let's not force anyone to have to participate in LGTV month. Let's not force anyone to have their kids that are 6, 7, 8, 9 years old to understand and hear all this stuff. Let us as parents dictate how we are going to raise our kids. Our kids do not belong to the state. I'll say it again for you. Our kids do not belong to the state. That is very reasonable. By the way, despite what Joe Biden thinks, our kids do not belong to the state. Leave us alone. I don't want to see anyone from that community get hurt. I don't want to see anyone get brutalized. I don't want to see that. Just leave us alone. Leave our kids alone. And by the way, you guys, folks that are on my side, be easy with the grooming language, okay? I understand it's polarizing and it's emotionally charged language, but sometimes if we're trying to have good faith dialogue, not everyone is out there trying to turn the kids LGTV, okay? That's not everyone's intent. And so using this sort of language, I think just completely shuts the conversation down. Instead of saying, let's look at what the actual particulars that we're debating are, and when we get to the crux of it, it's this. We can't opt out. That's trash. And so, parents, what are you going to do? Are you going to get on these school board meetings and get into these school boards and get nominated to have input and have your voice heard? Or are you going to pull your kids out and figure out a way to homeschool them, charter school, private school? That's what it's going to come down to. So those are my thoughts on this. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Hopefully that was helpful. Hey, if you're anywhere near Vegas, July 26th, me and What Do You Mean and John Clash are doing a special event. I would love to meet you. I love hanging out with you guys. Here's a bit more information about that.
Las Vegas, join me, and some of you guys might be familiar with my boy Ruslan KD.
Las Vegas, join me for the Christian Influencers Convention happening July 26th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
We'll be doing a panel with some of the top influencers in the country, as well as a private, intimate meet and greet.
You can get tickets and more information by hitting the Eventbrite link below.
Don't miss this opportunity to come and hang out and spend some time with some of your favorite Christian influencers.
All in the beautiful city of Las Vegas. July 26th, I'll see you over there. Peace.
I'll see you there. What do you mean?
Ruslan.